Silicon Valley Future Forum.
Through our visualizations, we not just look at machine-generated data, but we try to monitor like processes, organizations, and kind of like get insights into how all of the data is affecting the business outcome of it or the operation outcome, and give you a holistic view of your operation.
Your story reminds me a little bit of a conversation I had last week with somebody at genie.org, but they want to build something called a Sim Center, where they can monitor all of the world's energy being created and used in real time. And they've had this idea for about 50 years, and they haven't been able to build it yet, but now the data is starting to materialize. It was a vision that somebody by the name of Buckminster Fuller had many years ago. But it's amazing that now we can actually not just dream about it, but start to build these things. So pretty impressive. Okay, so one of my particular interests is in helping you out there who are thinking about using your data or collecting some data so that you can start to move forward with some sort of AI initiative. Now, one of the biggest collectors of data on the planet is YouTube, as we heard earlier, creating about a petabyte, was it per day? Is that what it was?
Per day.
And I happened to work with the founders of YouTube back when I was at PayPal. And Chad and Steve and Jawed were the three founders. And I remember when they first got started and became immediately successful, I started thinking to myself, I was working with these guys on a day-to-day basis. How did they do this, right? And one thing I want to convey to you is that they actually didn't create any brand spanking new technology. They were simply quick to realize that not only are people collecting video on their phones, all right, that was obviously something new, but Macromedia had just come out with Macromedia Flash Video, which meant that you could upload a video to a website, convert it into Flash, and it would play in any browser. All right, so they recognized this quickly and took advantage of this, because prior to that, if you wanted to share a video with someone, you would upload it to a website. There were other websites like YouTube. However, when you went to view the video, you had to choose which video player, QuickTime or the Microsoft or the other one, I forget what it's called. And you had to choose that. And if you didn't have that installed on your computer, then you couldn't play the video. So YouTube was simply the first one to make it seamless. And they took advantage, of course, of all the video that was being created by phone. So again, you're probably working for a company or in an industry where there's a lot of this data around, and now we have the tools, we have the clouds, we have the processing power to use AI on the data that you probably already have. So take advantage of that. Okay, so next what I'd like to do is drive a little bit deeper into some of the scenarios that you're working with. I don't know exactly how much time we have left, but I think we have a good 15 minutes or so. And when in your different scenarios, there's folks out there who might have the data. I think we talked about some IoT scenarios. So let's start there. So in the IoT space, what kind of use cases are you seeing? Anybody want to take a stab at it? Alex, I know you were talking about some.
Actually, I'll give you two examples of it. I've been involved in building two verticals. It's one of the largest manufacturers in the world. One is really whole consumer IoT. Today, you go buy an Amazon, a Philips, light. You go buy smart lock. You're buying smart blood pressure, device or whatever. Every time you buy any of these devices, you have to download an application to manage it. So this manufacturer is building a ubiquitous platform for the consumer IoT-enabled devices that all you do, you check in, you say, I'm going to add a new device. You either take a picture of the QR code or put the CR number, and by default, it will know that what product it is. So it brings entire your, what you call a smart home or whatever you call it, all the devices under one umbrella. Nice. So that we think that will simplify people's adoption and also bring the security, since they are building all the data to one place. One of the biggest fear consumers have, that what if somebody knows when I leave my house? What if somebody goes and changes my sensor in my nest, and all of a sudden temperature rises to 150 degrees and all of us get suffocated? Security is a big inhibitor, but they have been able to build a robust security as well as one platform to collect all the data. We think that it's going to really improve whole adoption of the smart devices. And the second product that we are working with them is for pharmaceuticals. It's going to primarily, hospitals, doctors, clinics, and facilities will use this for dispensing IV or drug. And they have a smart sensor that they will know how many drips has been, how much been consumed. And also with the smart tags and everything of the patient, they can realize that they're giving the right medicine to the right person. And this is so innovative that they have signed up 10 of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world to be the first consumer of this product. And those are, two good examples of driving it. But security definitely has been, in these cases, big deal. And now we see with innovation and blockchain coming to IoT and distributed ledger with help of companies like his building device that is smart and they have processing power that we can have blockchain to be embedded in it. It will definitely bring a huge adoption of the IoT that has been kind of stagnated so far because of security as well as scalability of the sensors and products.
And so the blockchain will help with the security.
Absolutely, it is coming to all these devices.
Okay, interesting. Okay, anybody else have a IoT scenario you want to share?
I have a use case of I work with a lot of the manufacturing companies, and one of the things I notice when they're doing IoT is the organization itself. Most of the time, there's like an operational technology group, and there's like a IT technology group, and they have abundance of data coming from both of the technology side or both of the organizations, but the organizations usually don't talk to each other. And because they don't talk to each other, even though they can leverage all of the information or data that's on the other side of it, they don't really work together, and then the company as a whole is not benefiting from data that's being stored in both sides. And I think IoT or all the technology development from cloud and big data and AI, all of those are kind of helping you. I see them over and over, like bridge the two together, because it's very easy to collect data from all of these sources, put it together, do the analysis on top of it, and once you do that, you get better visibility of the whole entire operation. Many times, you notice a problem that's coming from the business side, and the root causes is always coming from the operational side. But because they don't talk to each other, you can't really solve it really quickly and respond to the problem quickly. But by applying IoT and all of these tools, the data are shared more easily, and then you could do a lot of the analysis on your own, have your own visualization, have your own insight to it, and quickly solve the problem within your domain, whether the data is over there or over here. And I think that's helping a lot from IoT.
Coming from multiple sources. Okay.
Yeah, to that point, actually, we see this definitely silos of the data collected from the sensors. This is where we really architecturally and strategically we recommend to the customers to build an enterprise data lake. That way, all the data collected within the enterprise, whether from the sensors, applications, or transactional data they get all collected into one central place. And then you can do AI, Hadoop, analytics kind of, end to end. And that gives me the value to an enterprise.
Yeah, actually, that's one scenario that we see. I'm working on a project called Big DL. Stands for Big Deep Learning, and it's a framework just like TensorFlow or something like that, but it runs specifically in Spark, where there's already a lot of data that's either sitting on HDFS Hadoop or wherever, but you already got the data, and you may want to use machine learning, or in our case, you can use our Big DL deep learning library within Spark, and you take advantage of the data where it already is, where it's already been collected from one or more sources. So yeah, you may have the data and you just don't know it. Sometimes even you've been using machine learning, but now with the deep learning algorithms, you can go back over that same data that you've already had and actually get even better insights. So you might look that way as well. One other example I'd just like to bring up, the one I think is most familiar to folks, is the ability for a computer to see, whether that's photos or video. I think we've all seen many scenarios of this. I was contemplating bringing a demo, but if you want, you can look up online. There's a really interesting video on YouTube, of course, where it's called VizDoom, VizDoom, and it's a contest where the computers are playing the old game of Doom, right? And it's a competition to see which computer algorithm can actually play the game better. But it's pretty amazing to watch because you're watching a recording of the game being played, and it looks like a human being is playing this game. Wandering through the halls, it's a shoot 'em up game, so it's kind of violent, but it's feels very real. So the point I'm trying to make here, though, is that there's a lot of us human beings. We are impressed by what we see. We're very influenced by what we see. And I think that's part of the reason why AI is now catching on, is that we can see demos where the computers are seeing and reacting faster than we can, and that impresses us. And there is a lot of visual ideas out there, some of them that we probably can't achieve because it takes so much, like a self-driving car. That's not something you do in your garage, but there's just a lot of content out there, and many, many ways to take advantage of it. Now, we are running out of time, so if there are any final thoughts or examples you'd like to share, we can do that, or if not, we can turn it over to questions. Any last thoughts you want to share or examples?
The final thought, at least from what I have seen, reinventing whole this process of collecting data, processing data, storing data, it is really not today accomplished by internal resources to begin with. And this is where the scalability doesn't exist. Cloud providers, where I work, at least for example, Azure, have created end-to-end environment for you to collect the data, analyze them, both real-time and historic, applying CNTK and deep learning type of protocols. If you want to start, rather than focusing on infrastructure, use this kind of cloud provided infrastructure to experiment with use cases and come up with a solution. And then you can decide on economies of it, either to keep it in the cloud or take it to run private cloud. Don't try to spend a lot of time to build this infrastructure end to end, because by then your competitors probably have the solution and you will be left behind. That's at least final thought.
Okay. Did you have something to add?
I would think you probably want to figure out what brings you more value. The product itself, the hardware itself, already solved the problem, so the value is already there, or it's actually the data it helped to generate that eventually bring you the value. If it's the data, then go with what Alex is saying, just go with some cloud infrastructure, put the data there, and find a way to use it. Or if the hardware itself is the value, then just focus on that.
Yeah. Peter, did you have anything else to add around the smart cities IoT? Are there any last comment? I had one comment just simply is it seems like that is becoming more and more popular. Maybe still slowly growing, but the numbers could be huge. Any thoughts there around how smart cities and the visualization might lead to opportunities for folks?
I don't know. The smart cities these days are struggling to collect more data and put out the sensors, and I think definitely the IoT technology is going to help drive all of that. Well, once all of the sensors and everything's out there, it's a matter of collecting, again, cloud and AI big data solutions going to help that. Our company is more of bringing all of that in and kind of visualizing it so you could quickly figure out what's going on, what are the events, and then act on it. So,
well, maybe we can end on that. So, perhaps you've collected the data. Maybe you've actually provided some value through your service. But now, what do you do with that data? Perhaps don't try to visualize it yourself. Send it to a vendor who can actually combine it with other data, make it more valuable, and show people the money, right?
Silicon Valley Future Forum.